join together today to remember Gary. And in our tradition, we look into the book of Psalms for comfort. There it is written, Esainai el heharim, me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim ba'aretz. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from the eternal, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. Behold, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Adonai yishmor tzetecha uvoecha me'ata ve'ad olam. May the Eternal guard you from all harm. May the Eternal guard your soul, and your going and your coming, now and forevermore. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, benodesha yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yinachaleni, nafshi yeshovev. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. You make me lie down in green pastures. You lead me beside still waters. You restore my soul. You lead me in right paths for the sake of your name. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. With rod and staff you comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Eternal forever. Death has summoned our beloved Gary Allen Krenzler. Our souls cry out unto you, O God. What are we? Are we the creatures of dust whose destiny is but to return to the dust from which we came? The ancient sage has taught us the spirit of the human being is the lamp of the Eternal. Not even the darkness of death can extinguish the light which the Eternal has kindled in the sanctuary of the human soul. Therefore, O God, we thank you in this solemn hour for that which was deathless in the life of our cherished Gary, and which is now revealed to us in all of its beauty. For his love that united us in life and which death cannot sever. For his companionship which we shared along life's path and which still continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and of his mind, which brought us joy and happiness and now have become a precious heritage of the Spirit. For all these and more, we give you our praise. Grant unto us, O God, the strength of all the generations of our people, who in the face of bereavement proclaimed, Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. God has taken, God has given, blessed be the name of God. We've just finished celebrating the Jewish holiday of Shavuot. It celebrates the giving of the 10 Commandments. Of the 10, there is one commandment that resonates with each of us, and that is honor your father, your mother, and your father. The tradition tells us that to fulfill this, we must show them deference, attend to their needs, and care for their spiritual concerns. Ironically, the Torah never commands us to love our parents, and it most certainly does not register love of parents for their children. Further, the Torah says nothing about the sibling relationship. If we were to look at the way siblings are portrayed in the Bible, from the first pair of brothers, Cain and Abel, we would discover that Cain killed Abel out of jealousy. Isaac and Ishmael, Jacob and Esau, Joseph and his brothers, Rachel and Leah, these sibling relationship stories are marked by animosity and enmity. Not until Joseph's children, Manasseh and Ephraim, do we find a sibling relationship of grace and of goodness. Hence, tradition has us bless our boys with their names on Shabbat. Some rabbis might postulate that we only have to fulfill the letter of the law, that if it is not commanded to love children or to have a caring relationship with siblings, that it's not necessary to engage in such behavior. So long as we do what's required in a relationship, we have fulfilled our obligation. However, there are those rabbis who postulate that it is more meritorious even when not commanded to perform a certain kind of act, and that we do it anyway. And this is the principle of going above and beyond the letter of the law. Gary Allen Krenzler was so blessed to be part of a family who went above and beyond what the tradition calls forth from a person. And in turn, this family became recipients of life lessons that even the Torah could not fully convey. Today we honor a remarkable soul and celebrate the boundless reciprocal devotion and love that permeated his parental and sibling relationships. Though life presented Gary with developmental challenges, he became a teacher to all. He taught you patience, showing you how to slow down and appreciate the moments. He taught you acceptance, proving that differences are what make humanity beautiful. And above all, he taught you unconditional love, the kind of love that needs no words, only actions. From the moment of his birth, it was clear that Gary's path would be different, but it was no less significant. He showed us that intelligence is not confined to academic achievement. He was smart, and his memory had a memory for great music of the 60s and the 70s and all kinds of movies and musical theme songs. He loved the Beatles. He could tell you every kind of dog and how to get around neighborhoods. He had a fascination with hospitals, and he liked to walk the halls. In fact, a good day for Gary was having lunch at the hospital cafeteria. He taught you not to measure worth by societal standards, but to appreciate the small and kind gesture in the world and to laugh with uninhibited joy found in very simple things in life. Born in 1952 to Addie and Buddy Krenzler, Gary was delivered breech, causing a deprivation of oxygen that would result in developmental difficulties his whole life. However, the family never treated him as anything other than worthy of their love and attention. From the beginning, Addie would sing to Gary, "You are my sunshine," and "I love you a bushel and a peck." These were not just words, but deeds. Extremely close with her sister, Rowena, Addie was eternally grateful to her for the way that she ensured that Gary had what would now be called physical therapy from the moment he came home from the hospital. Rowena lived on a third-floor apartment with no elevator, and thus Gary became strong and overcame many issues to become a good walker. Alvin, Buddy, became a public figure at a time when most people might secret away persons with disabilities. Buddy, however, took Gary everywhere with him, to meetings where significant community decisions were to be made, and even invited his whole class to sit in the first row at his swearing-in ceremony. Because of Gary, Buddy became a founder of the Cuyahoga County Board of Mental Retardation, and he worked tirelessly on behalf of citizens who faced similar challenges. Gary changed people for the better. Debbie and Robin were not only his playmates, but his caregivers. For much of his growing up years, the two of you took care of Gary, and you took him wherever you went and showed him great affection. The two of you defied any kind of sibling rivalry or jealousy that we saw in biblical relationships because you worked as a team to make sure Gary had whatever he needed. And Gary thought you needed nicknames. Debbie, you were his Ed the Talking Horse, and Robin, you were his Pearl Head. No one really knew where these nicknames came from, but they were filled with pure affection. And when Robin brought Lenny into the family, Robin witnessed the most tender relationship, especially after Buddy passed away. Lenny, you took over the role of shaving and showering Gary and of cuddling him to sleep. And even after Addie found the most heavenly, unique care facility for Gary, where he lived for more than 40 years, you all still kept him feeling like he was an integral part of the family, with your frequent visits to him and often bringing him back to your homes. Gary thrived at the Stewart home and school in Kentucky. He lived in an apartment system with 10 other gentlemen who all dined together and who became like brothers. He took classes for grooming and for music, and he was loved there by so many of the staff and residents. The pictures that you girls shared with me of Gary lounging in his home, of him attending a dance, and of Gary interacting with caring staff tell a story of complete contentment. Gary loved that place and radiated a pure kind of love that was reciprocated back to him in droves. When you'd visit and you'd walk around campus with Gary, everyone would say, "Hi, Gary, how are you? We love you." But the residents had to have a level of independence, and they had to be able to walk to stay there. After Gary's heart attacks and his broken bones, when the facility was unable to care for him, you girls brought him up here to rehab in the most loving facility of all, your homes. You'd send the school pictures of him advancing so that they would hold his spot. You advocated for him all along, and during the COVID years, Gary was here with you as well. When his heart was the issue, you took him to Boston to see Dr. Dale Adler, who was his doctor his whole life. Dr. Adler wrote to you that he had only fond memories of his interest in seeing, of Gary's interest in seeing the hospital and of dinner at his home when you brought him up to Boston for a special exam and cardiac tests. And your dad, he remembered your dad getting him into shape after his cardiac episode some 30 years ago. You girls carrying on that kind of care and then bringing Lenny into it saved Gary. Dale wrote about Lenny stepping into Buddy's shoes, that he would take him to movies, and Lenny, you had this special idea to push the trash cans around the cul-de-sac as a way to get Gary to walk more. A gentle soul, Gary had an unmatched ability to touch the lives of others with his gentleness and his understanding. His heart was open to everyone, and everyone opened their heart to him. That would be true of his nephews and of their spouses also. Eric and Reed, being older, had the chance to interact with Gary more in their childhood, and Dylan knew Gary as his playmate and as your mom's other child. Reed remembered Gary and wrote these words: "Heaven has its newest angel. He had the best care. Your parents would be so proud of you guys. Gary was the sweetest and had such a wonderful and happy life, mainly due to the two of you, the best sisters a brother could ask for. We were blessed to have known and spent time with Gary, truly the most special, peaceful, and gentle human. He will always have a special place in our hearts. He was surrounded by love. Your love and devotion gave Gary his best life. He has definitely left a legacy." Today we say goodbye to a man whose life was lived for 73 years with purpose, even in the face of hardship. He was not defined by his condition, but rather by the depth of his spirit and the warmth of his love. The lessons he taught us about the meaning of love and devotion, of parents to children, and of siblings to each other, will carry through the generations of his family. May the essence of love that defined Gary Allen Krenzler remain with us in every act of kindness we perform, going above and beyond expectations to make this world a kinder place. Amen. Each of us has special memories of Gary. We take a moment as we silently compose the eulogy of our own hearts. Yehiyu l'ratzonim refi, v'heyon libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri v'goali. May not only the words that we speak, but even our most precious meditations and our private memories be acceptable to you, our God, our rock, and our Redeemer. Amen. We're going to lower the casket at this time. We ask God to receive Gary's soul with the words of El Molay. Please rise. El Molay Rachamim, Shochein Ba'amaromim, Hansem Nucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, Im Kedoshim Utehorim, Kezohar Harakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat Gershom Ben Yitzchak Be'eda, Shahalach La'olamo. Balhara Chamim Yasirehu Besetra Kenafav La'olamim, Bitzror Bitzror HaChaim Et Nishmato. Adonai hu nachalato v'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo v'nomar Amen. O compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Gershom, son of Yitzhak and Ada, to Gary Allen Krenzler, who has entered unto eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace, and let us answer, Amen. Our tradition reminds us in this season, in the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember him. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember him. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember him. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember him. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember him. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember him. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember him. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember him. So long as we live, Gary too shall live, for he is now a part of each of us as we remember him. In our tradition, we remember with love and dignity with the words of Kaddish. So we join together in the ancient words. Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'alma divrach hirutei, v'amlich malchutei, v'chayachon u'v'yomechon, v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman karib, v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, Shemei d'Kudisha B'reichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. The last act of love and caring is to help to bury our beloved dead. And we do so by placing a little bit of the earth on the casket. The way you'll do this is that you'll lift the shovel, you'll place the earth on the casket, and then you'll return the shovel back to the earth. The idea is that we can't pass our grief from one person to another, and that each of us must now lift this heavy burden for ourselves. Okay, so
Family first.